Hello everyone, good afternoon. How are you all? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello, can we all get started? Are we all ready? Okay, so it's been a long gap. I think we connected last Monday and Friday there was a no, last Monday also we didn't connect, right? It was last to last Friday. So yeah, on Friday, I hope you were able to practice Meghna conductor session. How was it? How many of you are comfortable with whatever we have covered so far? Type in me in the chat box. Very less number of responses. So others are not comfortable yet. Whoever have not responded, are you not comfortable with the topics that we have covered so far? If so, type out no in the chat box. Okay, so that I know that you're not comfortable and we can see to that we can do some revision sessions or some Q&A sessions or something like that, which will bring you also in par with others who have already understood the topics. Yeah. So don't feel shy or something like that to speak out that you have not understood something, right? If we understand that there are a few people who have not understood a few things, then we can have a revision session. So please type out. Akshay, what does X mean here? Okay, let's get started. I don't see any no's. So today's topic is about privacy rules and best practices. This is very, very important, and I'll tell you why. So let me share my screen. So can you see my bubble window? Can you see the bubble window or not yet? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Please respond, guys. Okay, the session is not happening until all of you respond. We are not starting out until everybody responds. We have got more than 30 participants now. We have not got so many responses. If you are not responding, we are not starting the session today. If you are facing network issues, then can we please resolve it first? Otherwise, what's the point of doing a live session? Get started. We've got responses from at least half of you. So we'll go ahead. But please keep in mind from the next session onwards, if we don't get response, we will not do the session. Yeah, I want everybody to be involved. Otherwise, we're not doing sessions. Please. Okay. Your energy is what motivates me to bring in the best for all of you. If you don't show energy, then I'll not have my energy to share things. Okay. So it's in the best interest of all of us to exchange energies. Okay, I'm hoping that you are able to see the screen. And today's topic is privacy rules and some best practices when it comes to data structuring. The reason this is important is until now, we have not added any privacy rules, right? In the user data table, we had privacy rules, which is by default added by Bubble. And for everything else, we have not added anything. Now, I'll remove this particular privacy rules that is added over here. Okay. And I'll show you what happens. Okay. So let me go to the admin page where we have added all the users details, right? Let me remove the email ID for now because Google for some reason will not show the recording in the YouTube if there are email IDs of the users added. Okay, so let me click on preview. U and D or username and password. U and D. Okay. Okay. So now we have the names of the users. We have the user's registration date. Let me hide the header column user email. Okay, so we've got the usernames wherever we have entered, and we've got registration date, we've got date of birth, and so on and so forth. Now, you do not want this data to be shown to everybody who is coming to the app, right? We want this to be shown only to the users who have access to this data. Okay. If we had added email address, then it would have shown. So let me show half of the email address. I hope that is fine. So I'll just add truncated to, let's say, 7 characters. I'll have to also enable this to be shown. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Please closely observe. All the users' email is being shown. Okay, just because we have truncated, it is just showing us half. Otherwise, this would show the entire email address, and this would be true even if I am on the, yeah, so even if I open this on a incognito mode, this will be shown. Yeah. Is this good? Is this a good thing that even on an incognito mode, we are displaying all the details of the user? Yes or no? So let's assume that there is a platform created, okay, for social media, and you have registered on that particular platform, right? And somebody is able to see your email address, somebody is able to see your name, your date of birth, everything. Is that good? Don't you want your data to be secured? Right? Whenever you are registering on, let's say, Facebook, okay, or Instagram, and if everybody is able to go to a particular page and get all the user details there, along with your own details, will you feel happy about it, or will you be like angry, like how can they show our details to somebody else? Angry, isn't it? Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people who are developing web applications, especially the ones who are doing it using this no code platforms and all, they do not ensure privacy rules is applied. Okay. And hence your data is openly available for anybody. Okay. And that's why it is very, very important to ensure privacy rules has been applied. Okay. So let's get inside and see how do we apply privacy rules and what are the different good practices that we can follow to ensure that this does not happen with users of our application. Okay. And also keep in mind, if you have users from Europe or US and all, right, the laws are very strict there. Okay. So we have to ensure that this personal information is securely saved in the database and not accessible by anybody and everybody. Okay. So let's go to data. Okay. So this is what we have already seen a lot of times. Now we can click on this publicly visible text that we can see on all the fields here. So I'll click on publicly visible and then we can check your security by scanning. Oh, wow. This is nice. This is something that they have recently added. I've not explored this. I'll explore and tell you how this helps. But normally I'll click on define a new rule and then this will be log in user. Okay. So first of all, what I'm doing is I'm going to say that current user is logged in. Okay. Keep in mind that we are not typing anything. We are selecting the things, right? So current user, I'm not selecting is here. Don't get confused. I am searching for this one is logged in, right? I'll select this one and then view all fields, find this in searches, view attached files. Okay, so we'll come to each of these things one by one. But what I want you to understand is when I do this, right? And when I go to this incognito mode, nothing is visible. Okay, let me go over here. Nothing is visible. Okay, the moment I log in, okay, closely observe, I can log in as any user now. Okay, doesn't matter what user I'm using to log in. But when I log in as a user, okay, I can see the emails being shown. Doesn't matter what user I am logging in as, right? I can still see the user details because the condition that we have added is current user is logged in. So if the user is logged in, then they will be able to see the user details. Now, If we want this to be the condition for showing the details, it is good. Okay. But this might not be the case very often, right? Just because you are logged in doesn't mean that you should be able to see all the details. Okay. Maybe they should be able to see the name, right? Let's say, for example, we are talking about social media application. Then you will use your email ID to log in. And for others, you will be able to see their name and their username and a few other details. Okay, like profile image and stuff like that. Okay, email ID is generally not shown. Is that right? Have you observed that? Yes, no. So how do we achieve that? Because right now what we have done, this will enable all the data to be shown. Okay. So what I'll do is current user is logged in. Here we have view all fields that I'll uncheck. Once you uncheck this view all fields, it will ask you what are the fields that you want people with this condition to be shown. Okay. So address we don't need, date of birth we don't need, linked student details not required, name we will enable, username we will enable, role probably not required, profile picture we can enable, phone number not required, USN number not required, created date is fine. I mean, we can enable or disable, doesn't matter. Email we will not enable, social network we will not enable. Now, if we go to the preview mode, you can see the email address will not be shown. Registered date we had not enabled and that's why it is not being shown. If I enable the registered date here, which is created date basically, okay, this will start showing up. Now, one of the things that we have to understand is when you add privacy rules, okay, this is being controlled directly from the server side. What I mean by that is I can also control this from here, right? So this is the registered date. I can add a conditional here saying if current user is logged out, then don't show this. Okay. So when I put this condition, okay, I'm logged in now. That's why it is being shown. Let me just log out or open this in incognito mode. Just a minute. Problem is I have added this privacy rules here. Let me just delete it for a moment and we'll go here. So user details is all being shown here. Registered date is not being shown. And the reason it is not being shown is because it is hidden. Okay. Let me just come here and show you something very important. I'll log out. Logout has been added somewhere here. So I'm just going to create a new page for making it easier to log out. Page. This is very helpful for development, right? So when the page is loaded, I'll just log the user out. So I'm logged out. Okay, I'm coming back here. I'll refresh this. Now observe, the registration date is not being shown. Okay, but here you can see the created date, modified date, everything is being shown. What this means is the data is being sent from Bubble server to the browser. The data is already sent, just that it is not being shown on the front end. It is not being shown to the user. But using some debugger tools and stuff like that, you will be able to see what is the data that is coming in from server to the browser. Okay. Of course, a normal user might not be able to fetch all this information, but some developers, some hackers and stuff like that can easily crack this. Okay. So privacy rules is very, very important so that data is not even coming from server to the browser so that it is not hackable. Right? Data is not easily accessible by anybody. I'm defining this rule again and logged in users. I'm saying current user is logged in. They are not able to see everything. They're just able to see the name, the username, the profile picture, and let's say the creator date. Or I'll remove the creator date just to show you how this would change here. Okay, I'm not logged in and that's why it is not showing us anything. Let me log in as one of the users. Oh, I came into logout page. Sorry. I have to go to admin page and let me log in as one of the users. You can see the details being shown. Now the registration date is not being shown. If I go to inspect, if I click on this, and if I go to the user details here, right? So if I go to the users, you can see that I cannot see the creator date, modified date, and all of that. Okay, there are only a few things that is being shown, right? Rest everything it is being shown as empty. Is it making sense? So the data is not even coming from the browser to from the server to browser. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow? Is it making sense? Yeah. So this is one thing. The second thing is normally what happens is a web application will have a page called admin or something like that. Okay, so that admins can go and access the page and get all the details and stuff like that. Right? So, like we have a group main here. Okay, we will have such groups on admin page, and hackers or people who wants to explore this data from other platforms will always go to admin page and see like what is accessible there. Okay, so a good practice would be to always hide this particular group by default. Okay, not display any data on the page load, and put a condition if current users role is okay. We have not added admin, right? So let me add this particular thing in the user data table. I'll add something called admin, and this will be yes or no field. Okay, and here I will add the condition current users admin is yes, only then display this particular group. Okay, and on the page load, right? I'm going to workflows. I'm going to general and page is loaded. I'm going to add a condition here, which is current users admin is no. Then navigate them to some other page. Okay. This could be if it's a social media application, then we can send them to home. Okay. Right. Or if we see that they are not logged in, then send them back to a register page or something like that. Okay. Closely observe what happens. Now, if I refresh this particular page, which is admin page, they'll not be staying on that page. They'll be redirected to home page. Even if they go back to the, sorry, even if they go back to admin page, they'll not stay there. They'll be redirected to this particular page, which we redirected them to. Only if you're an admin, right? So let's say I'll go to some user, myself, basically, and give myself as an admin access. I'm mentioning admin as yes, and I'll log in as that particular user now. Okay, what happened? Admin is no. Yeah, but this user's admin is yes. Okay, let's see why it is sending us back. So I'm going to step by step. I'll refresh the page. So what happens is it will take us every step by step. It has to take us. Okay, not here. Admin page. Okay. So current users admin is okay. Now you see that because we have added privacy rules, okay, and the admin data, okay, is not included in the privacy rules. So we were not able to fetch that information. Now, whether a particular user is admin or not everybody has to know. Okay. Only the current user needs to know. So what I'll do is I'll refine a new rule. This is a new rule and I will mention self, which means my details will be shown to me, your details will be shown to you, and every individual will be able to see only their details, right? So I'll mention this user is current user. Then they can see everything. Firstly, I'll show whether this has solved the problem and then we will understand what is this user here. Okay, so I'll go back to admin page now. And I'll stay on the page. Is this clear? Because now if I go to step by step and refresh this particular page, you can see what happens. Current user. Okay. I can see all my details, my own details, right? I'm still not able to see others' details here, but you can see I can see all my details. Okay. And it clearly says that admin is yes. Okay. And because the admin is yes, this condition will be false. And hence it will not send me to go to page home. This much is clear, everyone. Are you able to follow? Great. Thank you, everyone, for responding. It really means a lot and helps me with sharing a lot of things with you all. Now let's understand what is current user and what is this user. Okay. Current user, I believe I've already explained before, but let me reiterate, right? Current user is the user who is using the app at this moment. Okay. So when I am using this particular app on my browser, current user is me. Okay. When you use this particular app on your browser, the current user on your browser is you. Okay. Likewise, if I open this particular window on an incognito mode, right? The current user is this, again, myself, but on this particular browser. Because I am opening this in incognito mode, right? This particular user, the current user on this particular browser, is not logged in. And because the user is not logged in, okay, we don't have the admin details of that particular user and hence being sent to home page. Did you understand what is the current user? What is the term current user here? Yes, no, confused? Only two response now. Hello, are you able to follow? Did you understand what is current user in this context now? Okay, so with that context, let's understand what is this user. Okay, now this here refers to every single records in this particular list. Okay, so let me just go over here and remove the email ID. Let's not display the email ID here, right? So you can see that all of these details is being added. So this record means all of this record individually, one by one. Okay. So what we have added here is this user is current user. So what Bubble does is it will check for every single record. Okay. Like let's assume that these are the records. It will check this user is current user. Yes or no. If it is yes, then it will show on the front end. This user is current user. Yes or no. If it's yes, then it will show on the front end. Right? And so on so forth. Because of that, what we have done here is we have told current user is logged in, then display the name, username, profile picture and all. But if this user is current user, then display all the fields. Now, if we go here, you can see for everyone who have added their names, the names are being displayed. Okay. But only for one user, the user's email is being shown. That is because currently I'm logged in as this particular user. If I log in as some other user, let's say this user, okay, some random user I'm choosing, but let's see what happens there. Okay, that user is not a admin, so it has redirected. Let me make it as admin. and I'm logging in as this user. So what's happening? I'll scroll down, 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 down. So now this user email is not being shown, but I'll scroll down and you can see it was Trojan. So if I go back to this particular user, we can see that it was Trojan, right? So that email is being shown. Of course, we have truncated it to 7 characters, and that's why it is showing us only 7 characters. And none of the other users' email is being shown. So are you understanding what is this user and current user in this context? Everyone? Yes, no, confused? Okay. Now let's do something here. Okay. I'll remove this find this in searches. Right. I've told I can view the name, I can use the view the username, profile pic, and all of this. Okay. But I'm removing find this in searches. Let's see what happens. I'm going to log in as I'm going to the same page with the same user as logged in. What happened? Only one user is being shown, and that is the current user. Got it? The reason being, if we don't check this box, which is find this in searches, okay, that means we will not be able to do a search for. Okay. If I know the user and if that particular user's details is being displayed somewhere, then I'll be able to see those details. Okay, like for example, the username and so on and so forth. Okay, let me demonstrate that by going to home. I go to home and then see Abhilash Bhatt, Ritesh Hegde. The names are being displayed here. I can see everybody's names here. Okay, so the name is not hidden, but that will not come via do a search for. If you don't want users to be able to search for something, right, then you will remove this for specific conditions, basically, right? I'll enable this and we can see all the results. So did you understand what is view all fields and find this in searches in the privacy rules? Everyone? +1 in the chat box. Everyone, come on, come on, come on. Okay. Now, view attached files. Okay, if there are anything that is attached to a particular record, then only if this is enabled will you be able to see that particular files on the front end. We have not done anything as such, so we will not be exploring much of this as of now. Okay, we will see it sometime in the future if we come through any such examples. Okay. Now the last one is allow auto binding. Okay, I had enabled this the last time. but I'll not explain what this means. Okay, so if we go to the home page, right, and added a couple of things over here, which was input your name and input profile pic, but I've not added any buttons. So until now, what we have seen is you have to add a button to add the workflow where the data is getting saved to the database. Okay, you need to add a button, or you need to add an icon, or you need to add something which when clicked will save the data into the database. But there is also something called auto binding, right? As we can see here, there is something called auto binding. And what does auto binding mean is when I change the value of a particular field, that gets automatically saved in the database. And for that, the requirement is you need to have a privacy rules defined where auto binding is enabled. Now, because we don't have any privacy rules in the user data table where the auto binding is enabled, it is showing us this warning. Okay. So normally when you, what is it, add a field, add a input box, right, or input elements, you will have option called enable auto binding on parent elements thing. And when you enable that, it will ask you which field to modify, which means when the user inputs the data over here, okay, which field needs to be modified. So this is for name, so I've added it as name. This is for profile picture, so I've linked it to profile picture. Okay, so we'll have to click on this particular text. It will take us to here. And we don't want anybody to change everybody's name and profile picture. So I'll enable this only at the self level, which is current user. This user is current user. Then they can change their auto binding, right? Their own data. And so I'll enable it for name and profile picture. Now, if we go back, then it will be all sorted, right? It will not show us that warning anymore. And of course, the group will be of current user, so that it will change for the current user only. Okay, and this group was being shown when current user's name is empty or current user's profile picture is empty, right? It is not being shown to me now because I've already added both of it. I actually go to home. That group is not will okay. I'm logged in as some other user, I guess now, right? So that's why it is showing. So let's say user 123, and I'll upload some image. This one. So that's gone now. Okay. The image is being shown here as my image. So did you understand what are the privacy rules things? Okay, including view all fields, find this in searches, view attached files. We have not explored much in detail, but auto binding, allow auto binding. Is this clear? +2 in the chat box, everyone. If you're not clear, you can put -2. That's fine. Not clear to anyone? Type in -2. I'll repeat. That's not a problem. If it's clear, please type +2 in the chat box. No responses again. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Loud and clear. No responses again. Oh, come on. Is it network issue again? Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Okay, so are you clear with view all fields, find this in searches, view attached files, allow auto binding? If so, please type in +2 in the chat box. If it is not clear, then type out -2 in the chat box. That's completely fine. I'll repeat it. I just want to understand what is the understanding from your side so that we can proceed further accordingly. Okay, so Akshay, what is not clear? Find this in searches or view auto attach files, auto binding. What is not clear? And thank you for being open about it. That's completely fine. Type in what is not clear and I'll explain that again. Auto binding, okay. Others, others, please respond. Can you hear me, guys? LNC in the chat box, if you can hear me. Okay, auto binding not clear. Hari Krishna, thank you for that. Others, please type in what is not clear so that I can cover that. Seems to be a bit confusing for all of you. So let me talk about it again. Okay. So what would be the normal process that we would do? So we have an input box here. We have a image input box here. Okay. So normal process would be disable this, and we would add a button over here. Okay, which would be save. Of course, we can add what is that called? Gap spacing. Let's say 10. Now, what we would do is when we click on save, we would make changes to a thing, and that would be parent group's user, which is current user, because parent group of this particular button is this one, right? And this is current user. So what we are doing is we are changing the current user's details. And what are we changing? We are changing the name, and we are also changing the profile picture. Okay. Name is input your name's value, and profile picture is picture uploader is value. Okay, it's always a good practice to change your element's name. So this one I'll put it as profile pic. Okay, and it will always automatically get updated over here. This is the normal process. All of you agree? If you are not using auto binding, this would be the normal process. Correct? Everyone +3 in the chat box if you have understood so far. If not, -3. Okay. Now, again, this would depend on who is the user and if that user has added their name and profile picture or not. So because this user has not inputted the name and profile picture, it is being shown. Now I'll add the name, let's say user 55, and add the image. Some random image I'm going to add. Okay. Now when I upload these two things, the user details is still not updated. So I believe I went to this particular user or the next one. Okay, but that is not updated. If I click on save, only then is that particular user's details updated. So let me refresh. So it is this user. Okay, user 55. But what happens with auto binding is I don't need this button. I don't need a workflow to save the details. Okay, so I'll remove this button. And what I'll do is I'll go to this particular input box and I'll say enable auto binding. Okay. When we say enable auto binding, what we are telling is as and when the user updates this particular field. Okay. When the user updates this particular field, you update in the database. Okay. So auto binding is like a automatic workflow to save the data in the database. So I'll enable for this one, I'll enable for this one as well. Okay. Got it? Once you enable this, it'll ask you which field do you want this to be mapped to. Now, because content format is text, it will give us all the fields which can have text as content, which has text as content in the database, right? So, for example, USN number, username, role, right? Profile picture is a link, and that's why it's being shown, I guess, right? But name is the field that we want it to be linked to. If we go here, auto binding, it is clear that it is only profile picture because all other fields are text based and this is the image based thing. So I have selected this. Now, because everybody should not be able to change anybody's data, okay, it wants privacy rules to be set so that we are clear who can change whose data. And that's why I'm enabling this only for self, which means I can change my own data, right? So for this particular rule, not for this rule, current user is logged in, not for this rule. I'm putting it for this particular rule, okay? Enabling auto binding. And when I enable auto binding, it is asking us which are the fields that you want to enable for auto binding. And because we have added on the front end for name and a profile picture, I am enabling only those two. Okay. Now, when I do this, if we go back, we don't see that warning that was being shown until this was enabled. So I'll disable this again. You can see it, right? So I'll disable this. If we come back, you can see a warning being shown here. You can see a warning being shown here and a warning being shown here just below to fields to field to modify. When I enable this auto binding, okay, along with these two fields, it will no more show that warning, which means the connection is set. Now let me log in as a user and show you how this works, right? So I'm going to log in as this particular user, which is just below that user 55. Okay. Now, because I'm not logged, I've not added those details. Again, why is this box getting hidden? Because in the conditional we have added current user's name is empty or current user's profile picture is empty, only then display this particular box. Okay, this was just a workaround for all the users to enter their email ID and their name and the profile image, nothing else, right? So I'll add this as user 66 and I'll upload the image. Okay, and let's say again some random image. As soon as I enter these two details, okay, the box is getting hidden only because this user's name is not empty and this user's profile picture is also not empty. So if we go here, user 66 should come here along with the image over here. So I don't have to click a button. I don't have to do anything else for the data to get saved in that particular case. Okay. What this also means is if I had not added this condition and if I was displaying this by default, okay, I'm displaying that particular group by default. I can also change this to 77 and it will automatically get updated. You can go over here and refresh this. You can see the data is coming here. Auto binding is automatically saving as and when the data is updated by the user. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow? So now are you clear with view all fields, find this in searches, view attached files and auto binding? If so, please type out +4 in the chat box. Great. Thank you for responding. And it's great to see that you have understood these basic things of privacy rules. Now, the same privacy rules needs to be applied for all the other data types that we have created based on whether it needs to be displayed for everyone or not, right? Now, when we are talking about social media posts, okay, generally it's publicly visible, right? Whether you know each other or not. I mean, every social media application works differently, right? If you see X for the X example, right? So if we go to x.com, okay, and if we are going to a specific post, let's say, for example, this particular post. Now, when I'm logged in, okay, I can not only see the post, but I can also see the comments of that particular post. But if I'm not logged in, that is, I'm opening it in incognito mode, right? I can see the post, but not replies. If I want to see the replies, I have to be logged in. You're getting it? So the actual post, they are showing it on the front end because of this ID. This ID is telling which post is being shown, but replies are not being shown. Okay. But when I'm logged in, even though I'm not connected with this person, right? Neither am I following this person and nor is that person following me, right? But I'm still able to see all the comments that has been added to that particular post, right? So you can clearly see that when the user is not logged in, the comments are being hidden. So based on how you want your app to function, okay, you will have to add privacy rules for every data type in your application. Now we have student details, right? And in student details, we have like admission date, we have branch, we have CGPA, section, semester, USN, and all. Okay, there might be some other sensitive information as well, right? A lot of colleges take your caste and all of that. Okay, and those details need not be publicly visible, right? One, the student themselves needs to know about this. Okay, so I'll put self again, and I will mention this student details creator is current user. Okay, let's see if that is how it is getting linked. Yes. Okay, so you have created your own student details, and hence we can add this particular thing. Whereas this student details creator is current user. So if you have created your student details, then you will be able to see that details, right? Everyone else, we have to disable these things, which means the student details which you have created for yourself, you will be able to see it. Second detail we can also add as admin, because admin might also want to see all your details. So current users, admin is yes, then they should be able to see all the details. Okay. So based on these rules, either you can see your own student details or admin can see everybody's student details, right? Nobody else will be able to see anything else. So for example, if I'm not admin, I'll not be able to see anyone else's details, right? I can see my own details. If I am admin, then I can see everybody's details, right? That's how we have defined the privacy rules. Is this clear, everyone? This is very, very important. A lot of developers miss this because they don't understand how this operates. Okay. And they keep a lot of things as public, which means any data that is coming in into the application is exposed to everyone who has the link of your application. Yeah. Because we are using Bubble, Bubble has made it very, very simple for us to add this privacy rules so that the data that is there in Bubble, okay, that is within our application is secure. Are you getting this? Great. So we will open up for the Q&As. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions in the chat box, or if you want to unmute, do let me know. I'll enable unmuting and you can unmute and ask your questions. Anybody, any questions? If there are no questions, you can type out no in the chat box so that I know that you don't have any questions. And if there are no questions from anybody, we can wind up. I'll wait for a couple of more minutes, just if in case anybody has any questions. If nothing comes up, then we'll wind up. I hope you've understood the privacy rules because it is very, very important. Please do not ignore. Watch this video again, right? And implement this particular privacy rules in your application, okay, whatever you're practicing, and see how it is showing the data on the front end, right? Login as different users to see how the data is being shown and if what is being shown is according to what you want them to see. And of course, if you have any questions, please put it in the community that we have created, right? And we can also address this during any of the Q&As that we have. Okay, then if there are no questions from anybody, we can wind up. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, for all of you who have been responding constantly for the questions. Have a nice evening and see you during the next session. Thank you all.